Good evening. My name is Mark Mora, and I will be the moderator for the night. Wyatt, can you turn it down just a little bit, bud? How's that sound, guys? Thumbs up in the back. Thank you. If I could have all the candidates come up here and join me on the stage. I think I'm one chair short, so we might have...
I'll sit back here.
Come on.
Come on up.
Seriously,
One,
you gotta
two,
sit on
three,
the stool to
four,
make
five.
yourself bigger?
Absolutely. I might put you right there if you don't mind looking at the speaker's back. You got a back center on the way. And I talk about it, so. Wyatt, will you just stay there in case we I got two more chairs over here. Jason. Nope, we got plenty of it. We'll make it work. Okay. True. Everybody showed up. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. We got one more here, and I can fit one more over here. True, will you grab a chair when you come up? Yeah. We're all friends and family, right? Candidates, thanks for coming tonight. I need to move the flag. It needs to be on the other side. Sorry. Just where you can sit, right there. There you go. I was told that was set up on the wrong side and I forgot to move it. If we could please stand for the pledge. After the pledge, we're going to say a quick prayer and then we'll get started. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here together tonight. Help us grow in love for you. Help us live holy lives united to you. Bless us all that made this journey here tonight. Inspire us to do the best in our lives for our community that we represent to help make better. In your name, amen. Amen. Audience, please remember this is a nonpartisan nature of this event, including there's no cheering, jeering, or excessive applause. If so, I will ask you to leave. Tonight, I sent out in an email, every candidate is going to get 3 minutes of prepared time that they can say and introduce themselves and say whatever they want. I'll kind of keep it in order, so I'm not very smart, so we'll do county commissioners, and then we'll do prosecuting attorneys, and then state reps, and on to the state senate. Tonight, is Mr. Pound here? No, Ronnie. Tonight, our current sheriff, Mr. Matt Thomas, is up in Coeur d'Alene, and he asked me to read a prepared statement that I said I was willing to do. So this is from our current sheriff. First and foremost, I want to apologize for not being able to attend tonight. I am currently at the Idaho Sheriff's Association Conference in Coeur d'Alene. I want to thank you for giving me the honor of serving you as your sheriff over the past 12 years. Today, I'm seeking your support for re-election. Together, we have made strides in ensuring the safety and well-being of Washington County. In the face of challenges, we've bolstered community policing efforts, fostered trust and collaboration, and have made our county safer. But our work is not done. I am committed to continuing this progress. I've had the privilege of working with dedicated deputies who share our vision of a safer, stronger community. By providing ongoing training and support, we'll ensure they remain at the forefront of law enforcement excellence. Community engagement will remain a cornerstone of our approach. Your input is invaluable, and together we'll address concerns, implement preventative measures, and build a county that thrives. As your sheriff, I pledge transparency and accountability. I will continue to work tirelessly to maintain the highest standards of integrity within my office. Let us build on our successes, uphold the values that define us, and together we will secure a brighter future for our beloved country. Thank you for your trust, and I humbly ask for your vote in the upcoming election. Together, we will ensure a safer and more prosperous future for all. Sheriff Matt Thomas. Thank you. Again, Alex, thanks for coming up. It is being live fed and also recorded. Let's start with our county commissioners. Gordon, and then we'll just work on down. Please introduce yourself. I'm going to be strict on the 3 minutes. I'm just going to cut you off for the 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Hello, for those of you who don't know me, I am Gordon Wilkerson, your District 3 County Commissioner. First, I want to thank the Farm Bureau Federation for putting this thing together, Mark Moore for emceeing it. And I want to thank you folks for taking the time to come out and learn who we are and what we're standing for. As an incumbent, I've got a history. The history I've put forward is for you. When I got in this position, there was a code change for agricultural shops that I didn't agree with in an agricultural setting. When I brought this to the people that it was going to affect the most, they rose up and spoke, and when it got done, we signed that new document as a declaration of an ag building being constructed. On that declaration, it stated where it was at, if the setbacks were in order, and the size. That was a big effort, and I thank the people that helped me do that. Another effort that was put forward was there was an issue on Side Creek up Highway 71, had to do with private property and public access to public land. There was issues with people parking on the private property and trespass tickets issued and stuck. This is unacceptable, having our deputy sheriffs run 20 miles one way out of way to issue a trespass violation. So with the help of our road boss and his team and the landowner, we put together a parking area for public use to access public land. That was a big effort and greatly appreciated. Another issue that I'm passionate about is shortly after I started this campaign, Fish and Game come along with a proposal to bring the population of wolves down in our state to a level. I'm totally in favor of that, but in reading that proposal, I didn't see where it was going to be feasible for this to happen. So I spoke with several of the leaders of our area, and in doing so, we are monitoring and watching closely that Fish and Game is successful in this effort. I believe firmly in the Constitution. I believe firmly that there's something to consider. In my opinion, the Constitution is a document of equality. It's not necessarily a document of fairness.
Gordon.
So when the people up here make decisions, understand where they make those decisions from. Thank you.
Go ahead. No particular order unless you need me to. County Commissioner.
Hi there, I'm Carolyn Wessner. I live in Weiser. I used to live in Midvale, worked in Cambridge, and I am going to be putting my name forward for County Commissioner District 1. I love our county, and I know you're here tonight because you love our county. I offer my name for County Commissioner because, for balance, it just seemed un-American to me to have only one person or one party on the ballot. We just need to have more choice. Also for equity, 50% of Washington County citizens are women, and I encourage more women to get involved. And for an example, to my family and friends, of participation in governing where they live. It's important to govern locally. And for unity, this is local, we're all in this together. We may not have much influence on the big scale out there, but we can here. Sure, we have our differences, but basically we all want the same things. We want decent employment at reasonable wages, the respect of our friends and neighbors, good education for our kids, and safe living situations. What I don't have is a personal agenda to get XYZ thing done. I have no vendetta, no big ideas to change everything. Commissioners serve all of us in Washington County, and it's not about me or partisanship. I've read all the county codes and the county commissioner meeting agendas so far in 2024. I see this as an administrative job, listening, considering options, making careful decisions for everyone. I have lots of admin experience with American Express, on a farm business in Georgia, with my last work at Valley Family Healthcare in Payette as Chief Operations Officer. I look at issues, consider options, then look at the larger effects of each option financially and on the county as a whole. I've often seen that issues that we have are like in lots of places, the many places that I have lived, though I've been here for 30 years. First, education, to make sure our schools are functioning at their very best with what we've got. I've experienced personally homeschooling, parochial schools, public schools, and college in England as a Rotary Scholar. I fully support the wonderful public schools we have in our county. My son graduated from Midvale and my daughter from Weiser, and they received great educations. Second, managed growth. Nothing stays the same. We make progress or we fall behind. Local businesses can't stay solvent if there isn't enough population to support their survival. We're a more mobile society. We make Costco runs. Nampa and Caldwell are moving our way. The big box stores are across the state lines with no sales tax. Careful, thoughtful, planned, and zoned growth helps everyone to be able to enjoy more local amenities and protect the rural character that we all love. Third, housing. This is part of managed growth too, not just new, pretty housing in the $300,000 plus range. RV parks for long-term use also provide useful housing. Thank you very much.
Jim or Lisa, whoever wants to go. Jim, thank you.
Good evening. And Gordon stole my line anyway. For those of you that I've not met, I'm Jim Harvard, and I'm running for District 1 County Commissioner. I've lived in Washington County for 55 years. During this time, we raised a family, ranched, farmed, and did construction. Being an Idaho native gives me the unique perspective to make decisions that benefit all our citizens. The amount of growth we are experiencing is putting tremendous pressure on our land, our water rights, mineral rights, crowded schools, and all our county and city services. This is just to name a few. I'm currently Deputy Water Master and Chairman of the Advisory Committee in Water District 67. I'm also a Director on the Sunnyside Ditch Board. Traveling to Arizona for 2 winters, we have witnessed what can happen in small towns when water rights are sold off the ag land and rapid growth is unchecked. I'm for growth at a rate that can be managed. I'm recently retired and have the time to devote to this position. We are blessed to live in such a wonderful area. I will put the time and energy into this job of County Commissioner to help Washington County remain the place we all call home. Thank you.
Lisa, thanks.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Farm Bureau, for having us here tonight. I'm Lisa Collini. I'm running for County Commissioner, District 1. I have experience. I was a commissioner. I know the job. I can do the job. And again, like I did before, devote as much time to the job as is needed. I treat it as a full-time position. But my background is I was a court reporter for 35 years. Part of the time that I was a court reporter, I lived in Arizona, and I was an official court reporter of Maricopa County Superior Court. Did that for 10 years. Then moved back to California and was a freelance court reporter in Southern California and then in Central Coast, where we lived in San Luis Obispo area. I live in Weiser, moved here with my parents. We came in 2006. I joined COP soon after moving here, and it was a great way to learn about the city. There were senior citizens at the time that were running it, and they were historians. It was wonderful. I was also on Citizens on Patrol when we initiated the Christmas free dinner, and that became a wonderful thing for the community and a true blessing. And it became my most favorite way to spend Christmas Day was serving dinner at the senior center. It was really wonderful. When I was county commissioner, I represented Washington County as a member of the Greater Weiser Economic Development Task Force. Excuse me, I have a cold, so I apologize for my raspiness. And also as a member of Sarita, the Snake River Economic Development, I don't think it's agency, alliance, I think. And I also was a board member of the Area 3 Senior Services Agency, and that was very fulfilling. I enjoyed that. One of the most important things we did as commissioner when I was commissioner, as the Board of Commissioners, is we passed ordinances to provide property rights when it came to prescribed burns. And what we did is we made it so that the Forest Service had to get written permission from the landowner, and to do a prescribed burn, there had to be a start date and a out cold date. And we also assured that the sheriff had enforcement authority. And so if any of the conditions that we met for prescribed burns were not met, Sheriff Thomas was able to enforce those, and I thought that was...
Time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ms. Linda, would you want to go for commissioner, please?
Now that I have my glasses. Okay, my name is Linda Strain, and I am running for county commissioner. I'm third generation Idahoan, born here in Washington County, and lived in Weiser for all but 5 years of my life. My husband and I were married in 1973 and live in Weiser on the Flat. We both graduated from Weiser High School. We raised and educated our 2 children in Weiser. I've been a member of the Weiser Community Church for 30 years, and in 1998, I traveled with a mission team to Mexico, and we built a church camp for kids. Since then, I have served on the missions and outreach team and have been a part of 13 mission trips. When my children were young, I worked as a volunteer for Cub Scouts, and that led into my career with the Forest Service in Weiser. I began as a volunteer coordinator in developed recreation to maintain the recreation sites with our local volunteers. The following year, I was hired as a summer seasonal, and 27 years later, I retired as a permanent employee who managed recreation sites and trailheads between Weiser and the Council Ranger District. As your commissioner, I will listen to your issues. I will work with our neighboring counties and the public land agencies. There is a saying in some communities, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. I am not beholden to any special interests, any party, or anyone but the people in Washington County. I want all of us to be at the table. Why am I running? Women's freedoms have been changing in the past few years, and it's not in a positive way. So the need to run for office and add balance and a different perspective to the government in general is needed. My perspective is, for an example, you might relate as being a rancher, and all you know how to do is to build fence. That's your only expertise, that's the only thing you're an expert at. and that's all you have. How many miles of fence can you build and repair if you don't have a horse or a four-wheeler? Diversity in mind, materials, and skills are necessary to do the job and get it done.
Time.
And thank you.
What's that? Perfect. Do we have any more county commissioners? I'm making sure. Okay. Let's go prosecuting attorneys. Josh, you're first.
Good evening. First off, thank you to Farm Bureau for holding this forum. Thank you for all the candidates we have that are present today. My name is Josh Dalton, and I am seeking your support and your vote to be the Washington County Prosecuting Attorney. I've lived the vast majority of my life in the state of Idaho. I spent the last 20 years as a resident of Weiser and specifically Washington County. I attended the College of Idaho and the University of Idaho College of Law. I married a fourth generation Weiser High graduate, and I myself am a fifth generation Idahoan. And we've been married for 25 years. We settled in Washington County in 2004, and we're raising our family in Weiser. Both of our children are products of the Weiser School District, and my son is set to graduate this year. I am presently employed and have been for the last 18 months as the Deputy Prosecuting Attorney in Washington County. My experience outside of the 18 months as a deputy in Washington County, I'm a career prosecutor. I've been doing this since 2004. I initially worked in Malheur County for 7 years, and then I transitioned and jumped the river, so to speak, to Payette County, where I served as Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney. And unfortunately, due to 3 changes of administration, I was the acting prosecuting attorney in those interims. In regards to essentially what I did for those 20 plus years, I've handled tens of thousands of criminal justice cases. I've conferred with law enforcement agencies over investigations, mostly on high profile matters. I've charged numerous defendants, numerous as in tens of thousands. I've proceeded in probable cause hearings. I've negotiated and defended law enforcement or state action against investigations in motion hearings. I've negotiated fair resolutions, and I've prepared and presented sentencing arguments in thousands of felony cases. In regards to my trial experience, I have led over 25 and have actively participated in over 35 jury trials in my career. Now, these jury trials are usually felonies, and they're usually high-profile matters such as sex crimes, violent crimes, drug trafficking, homicides. I've handled those matters, and I've taken a vast majority of those types of crimes to trial and prevailed. I had been assigned and had resolved around 10 homicide matters, ranging from shootings to lethal strangulations to drug-fueled lethal home invasions, and all those have resulted in prison sentences exceeding 25 years of imposed prison time. Appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Before you start my time, I'm going to mess with this mic for a second. I need a little taller.
You just gotta bend over for 3 minutes.
Can you guys hear me now?
Really good.
All right, small rural town in Idaho. A man starts telling people that he's going to murder a former friend of his. He starts telling people around town. This goes on for several months until finally one Sunday in April, he goes down to the bar, gets a few drinks in him, talks to his buddy, heads home, switches out his carry .40 pistol for a giant .44 Magnum revolver. And we know from what he told law enforcement that he hid it under his hoodie, pre-cocked it, and went over to his former friend's house where he shot his former friend on his own lawn through the heart, killing him instantly. A year from the time this happened, the Adams County Prosecuting Attorney's Office got a phone call from the Washington County Sheriff's Office asking if the Adams County Prosecutor's Office would take this case. The defendant in this case was out driving an Uber in Boise, and at the time had a fantastic attorney. It appeared as though he was going to walk on all charges. The Adams County Prosecuting Office agreed to take the case. They took the case and put in over 1,000 hours on the case. We're not compensated. We're not reimbursed for expenses, miles, fuel, anything like that. And to be fair, they did not ask to be. They simply wanted to see justice happen in this case. Last April, the Adams County Prosecutor's Office went down to Washington County to the courthouse and got the defendant in this case, Terry Ash, put in prison for the killing in this story. My name is True Pierce. I was one of those prosecutors from Adams County that came down and prosecuted Terry Ash and got justice for the victims in this case. I got to know your sheriff and your deputies and have worked with them. I have prosecuted other cases in Washington County since then. I have prosecuted a homicide in Weiser and worked with the city police in Weiser as well. I was born and raised in Idaho. My family are multi-generational ranchers, and I understand what people in agriculture, the challenges that they have going on in today's world. I think agriculture is the most important job that we have in America. If we can't feed our people, we're not going to be free for very long. I have dabbled in agriculture myself. I raise my own cows and horses. I need you to know that so you don't think that these boots and hat are just for show, right? So, look, as a resident of Washington County, I believe that Washington County deserves a strong prosecutor. Somebody that can take leadership, that can do the right thing, that can have courage, that's honest, that will fight for the rights of victims, that's willing to go to trial if it needs to be done, that is willing to work with law enforcement and can be the partner that they need them to be, and that law enforcement wants to work with. I'm endorsed by the sheriff of Washington County. I'm his pick. I would tell you that I'm the prosecutor that can do those things that I just mentioned. My name is True Pierce. Please join the sheriff and vote for me on May 21st.
Just start and we'll work left to right or stage right to left, however you want to say that. And these are going to be our representatives and our senators, no particular order. Go ahead. Thanks, guys.
Sorry, I'm really short. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Okay. I just want to start off by saying, hi, I'm Rachel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hosting, and thank you for participating. My name is Rachel Buck. I'm running for District 9 Senate. I could stand up here and tell you how I'm a 4th generation, my husband's a 4th generation, but I won't. Let's get down to the details. I care about this great state. I care and value our natural resources, and I hope to have the same opportunities 50 years from now. I'm running because I would like to restore the idea of small government, provide transparency, and earn your trust. I am the reasonable, common sense voice for all Idahoans. Now you may be wondering, am I a Democrat or a Republican? Due to some medical issues, I can't put the R behind my name. Consequences of this legislation have caught people like me in the crosshairs. I deserve that Idahoans deserve better representation, and because of that, I ask for your vote so our vision of Idaho can be accessible and your voice can be heard. Thank you for your time.
Jason, you're up.
I am Representative Jason Gallagher, and I just finished my first term in the legislature, and I have learned a lot, and I have yet more to learn. It's definitely a whole different experience than I have ever had before. When I ran saying that I was going to be a conservative and on godly principles, on the Constitution, and I asked, is it going to grow government, or is the legislation that is before me going to grow government? Some government growth is acceptable, but when it is continuing on and on and on, not so acceptable. Sometimes somebody has to stand up and say no. Currently, our federal government is $34 trillion in debt. $1 trillion approximately every 100 days is being added to the federal debt. somebody has to say no at some point to all of this spending. It's not always easy, but I've done it. And that's what I'll continue to do because that's what I said I would do. I said I was going to run for limited government, lower your taxes, which we did through a property tax relief bill. I was part of that. I have voted, as far as the Farm Bureau goes, I voted about 90% of the time with Farm Bureau supported bills. I brought 2 pieces of legislation this last year that were Farm Bill supported. I worked with Russ Hendricks on one of those bills. I have attended Farm Bureau meetings. I have attended banquets. I have attended a couple of their resolution writing for the policy book. Attended some of those meetings. I really like that the Farm Bureau knows that God is first, and I believe in that, and that's how I run my life. God is first in my life. Other legislation decisions based on is it necessary? Is this legislation necessary? We don't need to continue to just bring more bills and bring more bills. Somebody asks me, how many bills have you brought? Well, is that really what we're always supposed to do, is bring more regulations and more laws? I'd like to actually go back in and have a chance to remove some things off the books. I think that would be great for all of us. We have, our country is currently being invaded, and our federal government is a contributing factor in that. Think about that. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you to the Farm Bureau and the community of Cambridge for having us tonight. My name is Jody Keeler, and I'm a candidate for state representative here in District 9. I've been a blue-collar worker for 48 years. I started flipping burgers when I was 14, and I ended my career as a truck driver in highway construction. I also volunteered as an EMT for the Red Cross, and I was a caregiver for my mother, Eva, and my brother, Greg, and I live in Weiser. I'd like to address the primary concern that voters consistently talk to me about. One of the foremost concerns is the endless requirement to vote on bonds and levies. In 2005, the Idaho Supreme Court ruled that the legislator had the constitutional duty to fund schools. House Bill 521 was recently signed into law by Governor Little. While it makes a great beginning, it falls short of being a complete solution. Idaho will have to borrow $1.5 million over the next 10 years, and it's a debt to be repaid by the taxpayers plus interest. The borrowed money must be paid off. The borrowed money must pay off old school bonds first before it can be used to fund current and future school facility needs. Paying off old school bonds reduces property tax, but those savings are lost when school districts request new school bonds, raising your property taxes and keeping them high. The answer is money, and where do we get the money from? There is a $5.2 billion tax exemption yearly that Idaho does not collect. Exemptions that never get reviewed and never expire. If only 5% of those exemptions were determined obsolete and not justifiable, that would generate $250 million yearly for school buildings. That is $1 billion every 4 years. And this would stop the need for continued requests in school bonds. We need dedicated legislators to represent the people. My focus remains loyal to the constituents and the priorities they care about. Quality education, accessible health care, ensuring proper nutrition for our at-risk children, the agricultural sector, including infrastructure and access to public lands. I ask for your vote and your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Scott Syme. I'm a fifth generation Idahoan, raised on a farm near Weiser. My great-great-grandfather settled the Mans Creek area. The sailing school down there is named after him. When I was in the legislature, I spent 6 years in the legislature in the House. Because this is an ag-centric district, 5 out of those 6 years I was awarded the Food Producers Award. I'm a small business owner. We live on 43 acres where we raise sheep and hay, and we're about to put the shirts out of business with my 20 sheep. So, I was chairman of the Caldwell Chamber of Commerce. I was president of the God and Country Family Festival. I spent 32 years in the Army Reserve. I enlisted as a private and retired as a colonel. I did 2 tours in Iraq. I'm endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police and the firefighters. I have the experience necessary to make those complicated decisions that happen in the legislature, especially on the Senate side. So, I think what you're going to hear next is there's a clear difference between my opponent and myself. I have the experience. I'm not sure he does. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out this evening. It's a huge sacrifice you guys are all making. I really appreciate it. Thank you for putting this forum on. I'm Brandon Shippey. I'm running for Senate here in District 9. I've been a husband to my wife for almost 16 years. I'm a father of 3 children. I'm a deacon in my church. I'm a small business owner, and I'm an Idaho Republican, and I'm not ashamed of that. I support liberty. Individual freedom is non-negotiable for me. A self-responsible people is what sets our nation apart. I support our Constitution, and I support state sovereignty. Our federal government is a political creation of the states and not the other way around. I support your private property rights. You have a God-given right to what is yours. I support our law enforcement. A good and well-equipped law enforcement with an effective judicial system are necessary for human flourishing. And I will always, hit the wrong part there. Sorry. Without the rule of law, we have no liberty. I will always support your right to self-defense. Your right to keep and bear arms and to defend yourself and your family is protected in our Constitution, and I will always defend that. I support free market capitalism. Government should not own production like in communism, nor should government control all production like in fascism. I support our agriculture. Without our farmers, we would starve. I support the traditional family. God created male and female, and He established the household as the pillar and bedrock of our society. And I'm pro-life. I believe that everyone has the equal right to life, no matter how small, helpless, or unwanted they are. My name is Brandon Shippey. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Schertz. It's so nice to be back in Cambridge. This was my first home until I was about 4 years old. We had, as a lot of you do know, we have sheep. And a lot of them, you can't escape from that. We were knocking doors here in Cambridge today. It was so nice to see so many old friends. And a lot of folks are asking us, I remember when the sheep used to go by our house, right? That was kind of the sign that spring was here. And they were asking us, where are the sheep? I think a lot of you probably know this, that my family had a fight with the federal government about 10, 15 years ago, where the federal government had forced us off of our rangeland. And we found out really quick that there were people that were with us. We were happy that Judy was with us during that fight. And there was people that said they were with us that weren't. There's people that say they're with agriculture, but they aren't. And that's why I'm running. Because in our race, we have somebody who is telling us they're with us, but they don't vote like it. I was lucky to be raised on a farm and a ranch, and to learn those values that we all hold dear. We live in one of the best ranching and farming districts in the entire state. And we need somebody who understands those values to represent it. We can't have somebody voting for the wolves, right? We can't have somebody who's not with us on our range issues. We can't have somebody who's voting against our water rights. So this election is important. We need people who understand our agriculture, who will be there for us from the get-go and won't just say they will be there for us. So it's nice to see you all. I think I know most everybody in this room, but if I don't know you, please come up to me afterwards. I'd like to get to. So please vote for us here May 21st. It's coming up quick. Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Miss Judy was an hour early, so she should get a little bit more time. We appreciate you.
Well, we have so many candidate forms in this district. I don't know if you guys know, but the last time they redrew the boundaries, we lost Adams County for District 9, and now we go all the way down to the Snake River, past Greenleaf, Wilder, and there. So all of us have been everywhere the last few weeks. So I'm Judy Boyle. I live down in Midvale, and I've been your state representative for a while, as John mentioned. And I want to, first of all, thank the young man in the FFA jacket back there. I'm going to embarrass him for being here. I don't know if some of you guys noticed that, but he is who we all should be representing because he is our future. I want his generation to have the same freedoms that my generation had. And the way the world is going, it's a pretty scary thought. So I'm unopposed in the primary. This is, I think, the first time ever. And I am a proud Republican, always have been. My expertise are the committees that I'm on: agriculture, natural resources. I'm on Rev and Tax, so I guess because I'm a taxpayer like all of you are. And while I have been in the legislature, I've been very honored to sponsor a lot of Farm Bureau bills, including the one where we rewrote the property laws. They were 40 years old or more and scattered throughout the code. So that's one reason why we bring legislation, is to make things a little bit clearer and to bring them up to speed, to modernize them. I've been a 4-H leader for a long time. I was a volunteer for the March of Dimes. I was a volunteer for St. Luke's for their NICU as a support parent. I helped start the Ronald McDonald House because all of us up here, if you have a sick baby, you have a long ways to go every single day. So it's important to have a place for parents to be with their child. Anyway, I just want to thank you all for your support through the years, and thank you for being here tonight.
All right, I'm going to kind of change things up in the essence of time, so we're not here. Everybody showed up, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to start with the prosecuting attorneys. We're going to go down to 1.5 minutes. I told you 2 minutes, but in the essence of time. Who wants to go first? Does it matter? True, you're up first. First question, excuse me. How can you foster a better relationship between law enforcement and your office to build a strong working relationship?
So folks, law enforcement, if you're a prosecutor, has to be your partner. You have to be communicating with them. They're out investigating the cases. They're out doing the homework. They're out on the road. They know what's going on in the county. And then they bring you those cases as a prosecutor. And you have to have a relationship with them where you can teach them, where you can show them when they made mistakes, where they're not going to hate you for it. You have to communicate with them. You cannot be dismissing their cases without talking to them. You need to be taking their cases to trial at least enough times that they know how to be in front of a jury or in a courtroom. That's really, really important that they have some actual training from the prosecutor, that they're getting experience, and they've got to feel like you care about what they're doing, because what they're doing is protecting you guys. And if what they do doesn't ever make it past If their cases get dismissed, then basically you don't have a relationship, and they need to understand what's happening, and I can do that. I can work with law enforcement. I've been doing it. I think that's probably about my time.
There you go. Thank you. Josh, go ahead. Same question.
Basically, it's accessibility and communication. For over 20 years, I've worked with multiple law enforcement agencies. I pride myself on being available and accessible and to communicate with law enforcement as to what they can and can't do and areas to explore. The key component is, of course, creating that bond and that trust where they can come to you. In the 18 months that I've been here, that's what I've strived to do. I've always been available by phone, either landline or after hours. I've always communicated with most law enforcement about midnight blood draws. I've talked to them about all sorts of matters, whether they should be cited or not. But accessibility, communication, and trust are the key components.
Go ahead and stay there. Next question. Do you feel it's your job to give planning and zoning advice? If so, why?
As far as planning and zoning concerned, there's a reason planning and zoning exists as compared to the Board of County Commissioners. They're a separate entity to make a different decision. Typically and ethically, according to the Attorney General's office, there is an inherent conflict if the Prosecuting Attorney's office represents planning and zoning rather than the Board of County Commissioners. There are some counties that have chosen to roll the dice and take that risk, but presently Washington County has separate counsel to advise planning and zoning. That is the most cautious and most conservative course, and that I would be more than happy to take another look at it and consider it, but I would maintain the status quo.
True, same question.
So folks, it's very split across Idaho as to whether or not the county represents both the commissioners and planning and zoning. So planning and zoning is a committee that is there to take some of the workload off of the county commissioners. They don't actually have to be there. If it's not working, county commissioners can dissolve that group. It makes zero sense for your planning and zoning to be getting legal advice from a different attorney and different legal advice on the same issue that the county commissioners are getting from a different attorney. Many counties in Idaho have the prosecutor's office absolutely give legal advice to both boards. They're looking at the exact same set of facts and situations. Washington County spends hundreds of thousands of dollars sending that money out of the county to pay attorneys to advise planning and zoning. I am the planning and zoning advisor up in Adams County. Chris Boyd, the elected prosecutor, advises the commissioners. It's the same office. We've had zero problems. We haven't had to spend any outside money on that. It really comes down to giving good legal advice and making sure that those people understand how to do their job.
Stay there. You're one of the luckies. We get 3 questions today.
Wow.
If elected, how do you plan on staffing the office with current employees or new? Do you plan on still maintaining a private practice also?
Okay, so for you guys that couldn't hear, the question was, how do I plan on staffing the office if I'm elected, and am I going to have a private practice? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay, so folks, I've been working with your law enforcement, but I have not been working with the deputies. So just so you understand, Washington County has 3 attorneys working for it right now besides outside counsel. So they have an elected prosecutor and 2 deputies. The elected prosecutor is not running again, and there's 2 deputies, one of whom you've met tonight. So I have not worked with them in that official capacity. It would be premature of me to say whether or not I would be keeping them on or not without having worked with them. That being the case, if we need to find people to staff, I know lots of fantastic prosecutors that would love to work in Washington County, Idaho. I have zero plans of practicing on the side. This is a full-time job. It needs the full-time attention. The sheriff shouldn't have to wait on the prosecuting attorney's office to meet with them. And so I absolutely plan to give my full-time attention to law enforcement and the citizens of Washington County.
As far as retention goes, I've worked for the last 18 months with Mr. Walker, who's the sitting prosecuting attorney, and his deputy, Mr. Wheeler. I would definitely consider retention. There is an opportunity for a third deputy or third prosecuting attorney. That would have to be filled. In what capacity, I would have to determine that. As far as I'm a career prosecutor, I have not sought employment outside of my career. I don't plan to have a private practice, and I don't plan to do anything else other than be your county prosecuting attorney and to be available to law enforcement and to the county departments as needed.
Thanks, John. All right, guys. Prosecuting attorneys, we're done with you for a second. If you want to clear some space and
You want us down?
yeah, I think that would be helpful. We know how everybody likes attorneys, so. Who wants to go next? Let's clear some more stage. State representatives. So help me out. We have Judy. Who's running? Help me out. All representatives. Okay. Let's start over here with Judy with the first question and just go in chronological order. Everybody but you, I forgot you were going to be here. I have, what are some of your main goals for your first year if elected? What are some of your goals going forward with the stuff that you have burning? And then for the rest of you, what are some of your main goals on the first year if elected? So, Judy?
Forgot I was going to be here.
I did. It was that 10 o'clock text.
Yeah, I guess so. I plan to do the same things that I've been doing, trying to represent you as best I can, try to protect your freedom and your rights. Just the same old stuff, I guess. And one thing I do want to bring to your attention that I forgot, back on the table there is a flyer about ranked choice voting. I hope you will stop and pick it up so you can educate yourself. We actually have a law opposing this, but there's an initiative on the ballot in November to overturn our law. So, thank you.
Yeah, there's two big things I think we're really leaning into, things we're campaigning on. One of these is protecting our farmers and ranchers' water rights, right? So in Idaho, you have developers, they're using the domestic well exemption to go around and build these developments. And instead of going through the actual process to get water rights, they're punching individual wells in each and every home they're building, right? And so what that does, it drains the aquifer, ends up taking water from the farmers and the ranchers. Something needs to be done about this. We're seeing all this development that's pushing its way into our district. And if we don't address this now, it's going to be a big issue for our farmers down the road. So that's a big thing we're looking at, making sure that these big developers, these people moving into our state, don't end up stealing all the farmers' water. The second thing we're really looking at is continuing to fight this fentanyl issue. Fentanyl is killing people in our community. Biden's open border is allowing it to be flooded into our state, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop right now. I prosecute a lot of cases, prosecute a lot of really dangerous cartel drug members. I was appointed as an assistant United States attorney under the Trump administration, and I was happy to prosecute some of the worst cartel drug dealers in our state and put them in prison for a long time. We need people who understand that issue, and it's going to be tough on that issue. So we need to get law enforcement the funding and the training they need to attack it, because it's only going to get worse. So we're really prioritizing making sure our farmers and ranchers are taken care of and fighting this fentanyl issue.
Thanks for the question. This is my first time running for office, so I have a really huge learning curve to do. But what I'd like to say is that I never shy away from learning anything, and I take everything head on and almost to the excess. And my biggest concern is to be service to people. It's always been part of my life. So I believe that I'll fit in nicely. If you are elected as a legislator, the committee roles that you're on are not my choice. So wherever I'm put, I will do my very best to represent my constituents and to learn as much as I can and to work for you. Thank you.
So I think my goals are just to, when I got elected, I said I was going to try to save you money and keep the growth of government slow. And that's what I've done, and that's what I want to continue to do. I do have a couple of things that I would like to see happen that we've attempted, and they just keep dying. Is getting rid of the taxes on food. I don't think you should have to pay taxes on food. So, but that just we bring it up, and it just keeps getting killed. I think we need people that are aware of that situation and how important it is and how much the people want it, and people willing to vote for it. I think that's about it.
So state senate now, correct? Are you running for state senate? Same question. What are some of your main goals in the first year elected?
I almost got hit in the nose, sorry. This is a hard question for me because I'm elected to represent you. So, you know, my interests might be a little bit different than yours. I would parrot what he said about water rights and protecting our aquifers and our farming, accessibility to that water. I would also say keeping our public lands public. I really enjoyed the drive-in today. I don't know if you guys did, but it was beautiful, full of greenery and the mountains in the background. It was just lovely. And then thirdly, for me, is keeping the integrity of our education system. But like I said, more importantly, the Constitution says we the people, and that's what I intend to do, is represent all of us.
Scott, same question.
Okay, my goals are obviously to represent the whole of District 9 from Cambridge clear down to Canyon County. One thing that I get a tremendous amount of satisfaction from is helping people that have problems with state government. I call the agency, I find out what the issue is, and I try and get them to fix it. So that is what I really find satisfaction in doing, and I really helping people is probably my main goal. Managing growth, protecting farm ground, yeah, that is, because this is a primary ag district, you have to do that. And then finally, one main goal is, as you walked in, I noticed you saw the bathrooms back here. You had a girls' bathroom, you had a boys' bathroom, and that's to keep the girls going in the girls' bathroom, the boys going in the boys' bathroom, and if somebody wants to use a different bathroom, they can. Thank you.
Mr. Shippey?
Thank you for the question. I want to protect Idaho families. I want to protect the traditional family that Idaho has always known. I want to safeguard our children's future by protecting parental rights. I want to hold criminals accountable. I will support our law enforcement. We need to keep fentanyl out of Idaho. A lot of what I'm saying is parroting what has already been said. I want to keep criminals off the streets, which means we need better jails in some areas. I want to protect our farmers. I want to preserve water rights. I want to defend our farmers against federal overreach. And I want to support local food production. Thank you.
We'll go county commissioners, starting with Gordon here on my left. How do we protect current agriculture ground, including grazing, farmable, and usable property, while not infringing on private property rights with the current growth that Washington County is seeing?
Wow, that one's difficult.
In a minute 30.
In a minute 30. When I ran for this position the first go-around, I knew that question right there was going to be the most difficult question in our county to handle. There's not an easy answer. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to be honest. If you follow the Constitution a person has the right to do with their property and benefit from their property wholly. To control growth is the wrong word. Manage growth would be a more appropriate word. And how you do that is unclear. I have been reading back, I have been studying the Constitution, I've been studying our state statutes, I've been studying our codes extensively. And if you follow the Cato Institute, C-A-T-O, and you click on property rights, you'll see where these individuals in this institute are very concerned with where our government's taken private property. How you manage that? Honestly, folks, there's not an easy answer, and I'm willing to step up and listen to the people on how they want to see this thing put together. It is truly difficult.
Jim?
I'm a believer in property rights also. Farmed and ranched for a lot of years, and a lot of us, when we retire, not necessarily us, is we sell our property. For a lot of people, that's their retirement income, and they should have the right to do that and do with it as they please. But through the county, as far as protecting us in the county or the county, there's rules and codes set up that need to be followed. One of the things I feel we need in the worst way right now, and it's probably going to happen pretty soon, not to any of my doing, is we need a building inspector and a code enforcer in this county. And not a Nazi. Someone that is willing to go out and meet with the homeowners, the contractor, and work through with them on these problems, do their inspections. Someone, a face in the office where they can come in if they have a quick problem to talk to him about it, he or she, to help this transition move forward. There's a lot of times a contractor will come in and say, hey, I can pour cement tomorrow on my footings if you can come out and take a quick inspection. With the setup we have now, that's not going to happen 99% of the time. Not that it's bad setup, but the fellows working in this county and another county too is the way I understand it. So I just feel very strongly. Thank you.
I used to live in Lake County, Oregon, out of Goose Lake, 30 miles from nowhere. So nobody gave a damn what I was doing out there on my property. Honestly, they didn't. But when you live next door to somebody, it does matter. And I can't always have it my way. Sometime my neighbor's going to get it their way. And that's what good commissioners and the code was set up to do. So the first thing I would want to do is carefully read the code, and I read really fast, to find out if we got some screwy things in there that aren't working for our county anymore. But what our other commissioners are saying is true. It is a tough issue. We want to have property rights for my property, but then what if I want to sell my property and have developers come in? So we need to work with these people, because what I want to do with my property may not be the best thing for everybody in my neighborhood, because we aren't an island that live far away from everybody else. We do have to work together. We want to work together. I think we all like each other. We don't want to hurt each other. So that's why it's really important for our land use to work together. A building inspector, we really do need that of our own, so we can make and manage the decisions that are made, so everybody is not happy all the time, but most of us will be happy most of the time.
Okay, I have concerns also about all the growth. We've lived on the Weiser Flat for the last 24 years, and prior to that, I lived there in the 60s. And when we were there in the 60s, there were, I mean, your neighbor was like half a mile away. And then when we moved out there 24 years ago, it was the same way. I mean, there were houses close, but they were still like a quarter of a mile away. And in the last 5 years or so, the population on the Weezer Flat has doubled. And so it went from, and the reason I found out is because when we have a power outage, we call Idaho Power, and they tell us how many customers are actually affected. And we had, like 10 years ago, we had 300 and some customers affected. And the last time we had it, just when on Pringle Road, that somebody wiped out a power pole.
Time.
Thank you.
What? The rest of the story.
I know, it's tough.
700 and some.
Lisa. Climax wasn't even there.
It is a difficult issue. I believe you need to start with the Constitution, the state constitution, and then the county codes. And that's what we worked on when I was commissioner before, is making sure that the county codes can be interpreted one way and one way only, that they're not confusing, they're not convoluted, they don't contradict each other. And once you have clarified county codes, it's much easier to protect property rights than when you've got four different opinions, because each code can be interpreted a different way. So I believe strongly in codes that are clear, unambiguous, and can't be interpreted more than one way. Thank you.
God's not making any more farm ground though, guys. State representative, we'll start with Judy on this side, same direction. State water infrastructure, wolf and grizzly depredation, Rangeland Improvement Act, state police funding, veteran funding. Do you consider EMS an essential service in rural Idaho? It's a lot of things I just threw at you guys. I apologize, but we want you, if you can kind of hit on them, if you need a reminder, just ask.
Well, you probably all know where I am on ag things. I just learned today that again, I received the Farm Bureau Friend of Agriculture like I have every year, so every other year when they give it. Wolf depredation, I brought a bill this year to actually pay for those farmers who cannot ever get compensation, because when a wolf comes and kills your animal out there on the range, often you never find them, or if you do find them, there's not enough left to actually know what killed them. Water rights, I've always been very strong on water rights. And this year we did pass a Farm Bureau bill. It's a voluntary kind of thing. So if you want to save your farm ground, you can sign up and you will not develop it for 20 years. You don't get any money for it, but you're just making a contract that you're going to keep it as ag land. And, like Mark said, God is not making more farm ground, so that's something that we definitely need to save. I don't think we should force people to not develop their land. We just need to give them incentives and encouragement not to.
Thank you.
Oh, EMS. Yeah, EMS is very important, especially for us that are up here in the rural lands.
Shirts.
Yeah, that farmland bill was a really good bill, right? Because you don't want to encroach on people's private property rights. But you can allow people to voluntarily make sure that their ground stays ag ground. Because if not, we're going to have low density housing, from Boise all the way over to the border, and that's something we don't want. On these bills specifically, each and every one of these bills that you're referring to, rangeland improvement, wolf depredation, veterans bills, police, are something that we have. Representative Boyle has been great in supporting, but unfortunately, our other representative, my opponent in this race, has voted against each and every one of those bills. So you have someone representing our district, and then you have someone canceling out that vote. So it's like you don't get a vote in there for your ag issues. You don't get a vote in there for your police issues or your veterans issues. And that's why we're in this race. We need somebody who understands how important ag is to us, that we live in the best ag district in the entire state. And if we don't have somebody supporting ag, what do we have? They aren't supporting you, each and every one of you. People, and almost everyone in this room has some connection with the land. So we need somebody that's supporting ag. We will do it each and every time. We're not going to shy away from it. We're not going to be with voicing special interest. We're going to be with you, the people of our district. Thank you.
I'm not going to stand here and say that I know about farming. I don't. But what I would do is I absolutely support the agricultural industry. I believe that it's the cornerstone and foundation of Idaho's economy and food supply. If I don't know something, I will absolutely come and ask the experts in the area, and I will learn about it and help. Yes, I believe in police. I support them. I believe in our veterans. I support them. And what was the next one? EMS, absolutely. I was an EMT at one time. Of course I would support that. Thank you.
So we vote on almost, well, I think it was about 470 bills this year. And it's interesting that the ones that get picked out that I didn't vote on are the ones that are focused on. I voted on a lot of water bills for them. Like I said, I voted about 90% of the time in favor of Farm Bill supported or Farm Bureau supported bills. Not everybody's going to agree with me and the way that I determine how I'm going to vote on a bill. I can't make everyone happy. There is no perfect legislator out there that's going to make everybody happy. But I will always try to vote for bills that do not increase the taking of the money out of your pocket or growing government. And that's what I will always stand firm on. I'm going to stand firm on my principles. And like I said, we voted on a lot of bills, and it's just a small portion that some people disagree with. And I can explain happily on each of those. I don't have them all in my head, but if you ever have any questions, I'm an open book. You can ask me, why did I vote this way on this bill or that bill? I'm an open book. I'll be available to do that. EMS, of course. We're rural Idaho. We need to be able to give services to our people.
Time.
State Senate candidates, what is your attitude about ag protection areas, and how do you see that in your mind? Some of the representatives talked about some of that, and there was a bill put through this year. In our opinion, it might need a little bit more massaging, but what is your attitude about ag protection areas, and how do you see that in your mind? Go ahead, we're going to start from that.
I like the last question better, but I'll answer this one. I read earlier that the ag industry accounts for 30% of the voter base, something like 75% of our land, and 90% of our income, as far as economy goes. Which means that the ag industry is Idaho's industry. There's no other industry that makes a bigger impact. So obviously protecting that that field is vital to Idaho's success. Now, what does that look like? I think that looks like listening to y'all and hearing what you got to say. Protecting the water rights, protecting your right to do with what you want with your land. I don't know how much more simple it can get.
Okay.
So as far as ag protection areas goes, I was talking to the folks in Payette County, and I think they actually have a nice program down there. In Payette County, they don't ask the farmer to not get money for his building rights. And that's, I see a problem. I see that as a problem with having ag protection areas, because he grows crops on that his whole life. He should get some compensation if he's not going to be able to develop it. They sell off the building rights. And so that's, if we have, and trying to do a state law that is, for everybody, it just doesn't work. You don't have a one size fits all. And so really, this needs to be shoved back down to the county level. Let those people deal with it, because they are the closest to what's happening in their counties. Thank you.
I would have to agree with the good gentleman who just spoke, with that local solutions are going to be the best solutions, because of every area is a little bit different. I would say principally, when it comes to top-down control over land and production, it is a communist or at least a fascist idea. And I stand very strongly on the issue of private property rights and the control of production being in the hands of a free people. And so I balk against that idea a little bit. At the same time, I realize we live in reality, and so there has to be practical solutions for right now, mixed with good, solid principles of good government. I would definitely be willing to bring everyone to the table to have really good conversations to how to deal with the issue at a state level. But as the good gentleman said, it's best to be kept at a more local level, in my opinion. Thank you.
County Commissioners, starting from you, Lisa, on the right. How do we plan on funding road and bridge in the county with current inflation and cost equipment almost doubling immediately? It's your question.
It's my question, and it's a very difficult one. You start with the budget. The two biggest departments in our county are Road and Bridge and the Sheriff's Department, and they're both underfunded. So we need to go through the budget carefully, ask every department in the county, I believe, to make sure that they are getting the best bang for the buck, so to speak, to make sure that there aren't areas where costs can be cut and still get the same quality product. So it's a budget issue. That's where it has to come from. I don't believe in raising taxes, of course, but if there's a way to cut some costs in every budget, then we have more money that we can earmark for Road and Bridge and for the Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Good question. I know that when I was working in developed recreation, we got several grants through the state Parks and Recreation. However, there are grants with books this thick that are available every year through two municipalities and to other government entities. And so that would be a way to research, especially for certain things with transportation. So it wouldn't be an all fix, but it could help. So thank you.
Budgets are great. You got to have a budget. You got to have one to run your house. You got to have one to run anything. So looking through the budget, seeing where can we borrow from Peter to pay Paul, if we can downsize this one a little bit to squeeze out a little bit and get a little bit more here. You have to do that in any kind of a budget. Grants are great. I think it would be great to have a full-time grant writer. Grant writers pay for themselves. As they get one grant to pay their salary plus a little more, they have made the money for the county commissioners to spend in these other areas. So I think having a full-time grant writer is a really good thing for our county, because they can spend the time, and it takes a great deal of time, to look for the grants, find the grants, to fill out the paperwork for all that, make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed to get those grants. And they're out there, they're available, but it does take a full-time person to do that, to make sure that we have that money coming in for the future. And that's a long-term process. It doesn't happen overnight. Some of these grants and things take a long time. So it takes time to start, get the ball rolling, and then it goes on into the future, and it does pay for itself. And I'm not one to say we could never raise taxes, because sometimes you get what you pay for.
I'd like to address the road and bridge issue. When I decided to run for county commissioner, I started attending the weekly county commissioner meetings. And it's amazing what goes on in that room and what the commissioners have to deal with. Jared Odoms is the superintendent of the road and bridge. And from what I've heard from him, he's taking this matter into hands by being proactive instead of being reactive. They've recently purchased a seal machine to start sealing all the cracks in the roads and stuff as they go along. The guys have been working on it for about a month now. They're making great progress. What that does, it slows down from the breakdown of the pavement. Jared's got a schedule all set up on how much new pavement they're going to be allowed to do each year, and how many seal coats they'll be able to do also. He's put a lot of time into this budget, and another thing that's become a very big issue is a solid waste inlet. Our solid waste is hauled over to Payette at the landfill there, and their projected filling date is far faster than they ever believed in. I understand Adams County can take in a little bit, but McCall took in enough over there to put them over their limit. And now there's talk about putting a big landfill up in the Grangeville area somewhere, which is all well and good. There's going to be transportation, but it's 5 years down the road.
Time.
Thank you.
I can tell you folks, after being there a year and dealing with road and bridge, our county road boss, Jared Owens, runs on a shoestring budget. Expensive equipment and getting more expensive every day. Oil is part of asphalt. As Jim mentioned, we just bought a crack sealer to help maintain our county roads. That's part of the foresight that the 5-year plan has shown us that we need to do, is protect what we've got. As far as grants go, I'm not opposed to grants, but I'm not going to live on a diet of grants because they happen to dry up. We've been very fortunate in the last couple of years of money coming in from the state for our roads and our bridges. But that's going to come to an end pretty soon. I can tell you, you ought to feel real fortunate that you've got Jared Odoms working for you in the capacity that he has been working. He's got a great team. They run a lot of hours. It may not seem like it, but you go drive the roads. Our gravel roads are better than most paved roads in other counties. How this is going to be funded, it takes money. And you may have increase in taxes to do that.
Time.
Is open. Sure, you get to start, and then we'll have Josh, and we'll just go with Gordon all the way down to Rachel. So thank you guys, and I hope they stick around and talk to you guys, and we'll try to give you about 45 minutes to an hour afterwards of mingle time, and we appreciate you coming.
Let me just say thank you to Mark for putting this on, and I appreciate you guys being out here tonight. I know that there's sometimes more interesting things to do. Here's what I want to say to you guys. I've been prosecuting cases in Washington County. The current prosecutor's office has been prosecuting cases, and it comes really down to this. The sheriff has worked, and his deputies have worked with me, and he's worked with the current prosecutor's office. The sheriff feels like there needs to be a change. I feel like I can give it to you. The sheriff has endorsed me. I have his letter saying that he's endorsing me, and I think that speaks pretty loudly when it comes right down to it. He's worked with all this, and he's asked that I run. I would appreciate your support. I promise you, if you elect me, that I will protect you. I will be a passionate person as far as prosecuting cases. When you have something horrible happen to your family member, I'm the prosecutor that you want if you're a victim. I promise that I will work with law enforcement and that I won't let you guys down. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. Thank you, Farm Bureau, for giving us this opportunity. It all comes down to experience. I got 20 years of experience. I've served multiple counties. I've done, as I stated, multiple jury trials. I have, in the 18 months I've been here, I've been communicative with not only Weiser Police, but also the Washington County Sheriff's Office and Idaho State Police. For the 18 months, I've tried to put my own trademark on the office and how I do things. Change is going to come. It's either through Mr. Pierce or myself. And as my sign says, experience, integrity, and commitment. I've been here for 20 years, I've practiced for 20 years, and I'm committed to this county. Thank you.
Address the question about private property rights and how do we protect our farmland. I've talked the talk and I'm walking the walk. It's up to the individuals and what they want. As a fifth generation rancher, we made the tough decision in 2018 to sell the ranch. And the way that ranch was structured, we had somewhere around 16 to 18 building rights. We could have sold to a developer and chose not to. Had the opportunity and walked away from it. We're not building any more ground for farming. And the family was blessed to have an ag-based family come in and take over. It's up to us, the individuals. What do we want? And when you start getting farmland separated monetarily so far from residential development land, you've got a huge problem. It's up to us.
Judy, go ahead. Let's keep going in order.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here as well, and Mark. We'll try to all hang around for a while afterwards. And I have worked with many of you through the years to deal with not just state issues, but also federal issues. I plan to continue to do that. And many times you guys have brought ideas to me that we could put into law or fix a law to make it better for all of our lives. I want to thank you for doing that. None of us are experts in everything. That's why we have a citizens legislature, because we're made up of a lot of different people from different kinds of backgrounds. So thank you very much.
We have something special in our state, right? There are people coming here from other states because they see how special it is. But we cannot allow our state to become an Oregon or a Washington or a California. And that includes our rural way of life. Once the farmland's gone, we aren't going to get it back. We need somebody in the state house who understands our ag issues, who's actually lived it, who actually knows how to do it, and who actually sees how tough it is to make a living out there. Because if we don't have someone in there, we'll end up losing everything we really hold dear. That's the difference in this election. It's so important. Please get out and vote May 21st for us. John Schertz, I appreciate you all coming out. It really means a lot. Take care.
It's a clear statement here that Idaho is ag, and that's what the majority of it in here are involved in. Darla and I farmed for over 40 years. We still have our farm now. We haven't sold it. We don't have any intentions to sell it. We want to keep it. It's our hunk of Idaho, and we have that right. We have that choice to do what we want with our own property. One other thing that I think is a really important issue is our water rights. And if you're involved in ag, you better pay attention to your water rights, what you have, where it come from, and you better document your usage. because it's getting tougher and tougher every year. I feel through the process I'm involved with the different irrigation operations, that this documentation is critical, because what's to stop some other state or something coming in and say, hey, look, there's 1,000 CFS just running down the river there right now and nobody's using it. Thank you.
There's about 11,000 people in Washington County. Less than half of them are registered voters. And of the registered voters, 50, 60% actually do vote of those people. So that's not a lot of people. So I would just encourage you to please vote. Encourage your young people over 18 to vote. The voting age was lowered to 18 the year I turned 18. That was my first election. Wait for it, I voted for Richard Nixon. Okay, maybe that was not my best moment. Okay. But as a county commissioner, I read fast, I learn quickly. I've been in administration all my life. And you won't see any road signs. I'm not fundraising, that's not me. But I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. You all have God-given rights, and those rights are protected in our Constitution. We live in a constitutional republic. We do not live in a democracy. Your voice matters as I represent you in the Senate. But at the same time, as a Republican, I'm running on principles of good government, principles that protect the little person, principles that protect your rights. A pure democracy is mob rule, and they are dangerous. And so I'm running on principles of good government. That's the promise I bring to you. I don't bring any personal agenda, but to represent you with good principles of good government. Thank you for your time.
So, I have the experience necessary to do the job in the state Senate. When I was in the House, I did my research. I was decisive. You can't waffle when you're standing on the floor of the Senate. You have to be decisive. You have to have the backbone to make hard decisions. One of the Army tenets that I cherished over the years was something called personal courage. And what that means is that you have the courage to make the right decision regardless of the consequences. And so doing what is right is what I've always tried to live by. So I'd appreciate your vote for the state Senate. Thank you.
Thank you again for having us tonight. I really appreciate it. I really feel like as a first-time candidate that I need to earn your vote. And I want to show by doing and showing you that I'm loyal to you, as your representative, and that you are my constituent and I work for you. I brought a couple of cards tonight. I'm always available. I have a phone number and an email address if you ever want to reach out to me and talk about things that are concerning you. Tell me your views. I would appreciate hearing from you, and let's see if we can't figure something out for you. Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you for inviting us to this forum. I so appreciate that. You won't see my name, Linda Strain, on the ballot for the primary. Okay. You won't see a yard sign before the primary because I don't have an opponent in the primary. So, but you will see my yard signs out later on. And there are some cards back there. If you want to take one, that's amazing. I'll have some more information out later. Thank you so much. Linda Strain, running for commissioner.
I am a wife. I am a mother. I am not a politician. I am a citizen legislator. I'm not an expert in every subject, but I'm willing to learn at everything that I can. I have done what I said I was going to do. I vote on principles and values, godly morals, godly values. The Bible is first, God is first in my life. I thank you all for coming. Voting is so important in being involved in this. And I don't know, I do meet and greets on Saturdays, and some days it's, 3 or 4, some days it's none. How do you get, the magical question is, how do you get people involved? I'd like to know the answer to that. So I have a great appreciation for all of you being here tonight. It's so important, so thank you.
It's redundant, I know, but it's very heartfelt. Thank you all for coming. You've made the effort, and it's very much appreciated. And thank you, Farm Bureau, again. I was a county commissioner. I loved my job. I was good at my job. I know my job. I was involved in the budget workshops. I made it a practice to go on road trips with Jared and Road and Bridge so that I could see what Road and Bridge was doing and what the equipment was used for. I'm familiar with the process, and it's something that I absolutely loved doing, is my job as county commissioner. So I am asking for your vote again on May 21st. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And this is the fun part I get to tell you about me now. I'm a business owner in Caldwell. My husband is the 4th generation to own the business. Previously, before that, I managed law offices in Boise, representing people charged with crimes. Feel how you feel about it, but even the guilty deserve a defense. And that's how I feel about it. I will not stop fighting for all of your rights, because no one knows what they are better than I do. I'm also a mediator, so I will try to find common ground with anybody. My grandfather was a farmer. He farmed with Simplot, and believe me, when Simplot asked my grandfather to go in business and we turned it down, every generation has been kicking him in the butt since. He's been long gone, but let me tell you. So while I might not be your neighbor, I'm a good neighbor, and I promise to live up to that. So I ask for your vote. Thank you for your time.
This concludes tonight, and I appreciate you guys taking your time and coming out here. Feel free to stick around and talk to the candidates that are running for respective offices. Candidates, thank you for doing what you do, current and future candidates. Once everybody's kind of cleared away and left, if you want to help us pick up chairs, we'd appreciate it. If not, we'll get her done. So have a great night. Remember to vote May 21st.